Some riders in the MBTA are concerned about the future of a very popular service with vintage trolleys running between Mattapan and Ashmont stations. Because the cars are fairly old, repairs and replacement parts are more of a challenge, so there's talk about replacing the trolleys, possibly with a different mode of transportation. Our guest is one of the local officials who did some research on how the challenge is being handled in Philadelphia. We'd like to welcome the District City Councilor for Hyde Park and parts of Roslindale and Mattapan, Tim McCarthy. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks for having me again, Chris.
First of all, what about your own experience with these trolleys?
Well, I tell you, my sister, this is going back way long ago, used to work at Papagino's back there. So when we used to go pick up Colleen for after work or before work, I was always fascinated by the orange trolleys in the back. So that's really my, everything that I have to do with it. But you look at the Mattapan people in particular, and it's a great source of pride for them.
Of course, one of the other things is that, except for when there's too much snow for the trolleys to get through, there's a choice here on one level between riding that line and taking a bus down River Street and wherever.
Sure. There was all kinds of different plans that were talked about, shall we say, whether it was behind closed doors or just discussion, and that's fine. But what we found is that there was talk of pulling those trolleys, pulling those tracks, laying down a road that would then cut through the historic Cedar Grove. It would cut all the way through into Ashmont through, and that made no sense to us at all. And as we continue to try, and by we I mean the Boston delegation, not only in the State House but in City Hall, we have a very unique and tight team that really came together on this, and it was Councilor Baker and Councilor Campbell, as well as our State House friends, and Danny Cullinane and Danny Hunt and Linda Dorsina-Furry and Russell Holmes. We all agree that this is it's very, very important, not only for the transportation aspect of what the trolleys produce, but it's a statement that Mattapan counts. So we're looking at transit-oriented development right there in Mattapan Square, and I believe that part of that plan is to look at the historic trolleys as well as the Deponcet River, and people who don't know that area would be very, very surprised on how beautiful it is back there with the river flowing and everything, and to take those trolleys out and put bus lines in would be detrimental to anybody who's trying to build. And one of the projects that I've seen, they're looking at that huge parking lot behind the old Papagino's, which is now Domino's, and they're talking about 3 different buildings with a quad type of design in the middle. The buildings on either right and left would be rental properties, and then the tower at the end, right on the river, right on those historic tracks, would be condos. And it would be a phenomenal thing to continue to push home ownership in Mattapan, which has the most home ownership in any other neighborhood in the entire city.
So I can see, if I were the realtor trying to get people to buy or rent a unit in one of these buildings, I'd be listing, next to the scenic trolley route here.
Yeah, exactly right. And those the presidential coaches are really, they're wonderful. It would be, it's not a lot different than taking the trolleys out of San Francisco and putting bus lines in and saying, here we go, don't you want to ride on a bus? Nobody wants to ride on a bus. And I think that the excuses of the expense were a bit exaggerated, shall I say. Frank Baker and I, Councilor Baker, went down to Philadelphia. We met with SEPTA, which is the Southeast Pennsylvania Transportation Authority. We went into their facility. Their facility was immaculate. It was union run, very much like our own, but their storage room and their storage was immense. They had plenty of parts. Their preventative maintenance program was so much better than our preventative maintenance program. And basically what we found without hesitation is to say they do it better and they do it for less, and there's something that we should be following down there. They have about 18 to 22 presidential trolleys just like we do. They have no intention of getting rid of them. They're fixing them for cheaper, and they continue to keep them on schedule. So that's what we're hoping that the MBTA finds, that that they can do it.
This is BNN News, and we're talking with Boston City Councilor Tim McCarthy. I want to ask you about what they do in Philadelphia, because I heard about here that it's so hard to get replacement parts sometimes, or get the people who know how to work with these vehicles. So how is it that they can do that in Philadelphia?
Yeah, well, I've got to be honest with you, talking to the MBTA people that I've met in Everett, they don't find that to be the issue at all. They find that they can get parts. The problem that we're having is the lag time. Philadelphia in general is very proactive. They have the parts in the storage room, they're ready to go. You know, when you pull into your Ford dealership and you're asking for an oil change, they're not sending out to go get oil. They have it, they're ready to go. They have the air filter, they have the oil filter, they're ready to do the job. That's the problem that the MBTA is having, is a significant investment in their facilities.
I want to ask you about another related issue, because we talked about housing and transportation. There's been a certain amount of resistance in another part of your district in Hyde Park to some new developments. Even talk about places near Reedville Station in what's now a light industrial area. Explain what's going on there.
Sure. As you know, I was born and raised in Reedville, so it's very near and dear to my heart, and my wife as well. We do have stretches of land that are close to the T-tracks. As you know, way back in the day, Reedville was a main line for goods coming in from all over the United States, especially south. The 54th Regiment in the Civil War, the 1st Black Infantry Troop, was trained there for a reason, because the train was right there. It was a perfect place for people to move in. So we do have extensive land on Hyde Park Ave, and right now we have $9 billion worth of shovels in the ground and another $4 billion in planning. The city of Boston is growing, and they're looking at that specific section of Hyde Park in Reedville. We have nobody's pulled any permits yet or anything, but they are floating ideas of large developments. And the concern is really there's really two sides of this coin. You have a lot of concerns about traffic and kind of people who are very protective of Reedville, and I certainly understand that. They want to keep it kind of as it is. And then you have other people who have moved in probably more recently, who want density, who understand that density will help the immediate neighborhood, foot traffic, businesses, and everything else. But we have a traffic problem in Reedville. People cutting through from Milton and Canton, 138, cutting through Reedville to get to the other side of Dedham to 128 is an issue. And we also have 300 plus school buses that are in Reedville. Why they were placed there, I don't know, but they were zoned as of right, so they moved in without anybody stopping them, which is also a fear of mine. We have that zone light industrial. And as the epicenter of Boston, the growth in Boston continues to spread from downtown and it goes outward, I'm afraid that we're going to get stuck with the residual light industrial projects like buses and tow trucks and asphalt plants and whatever else is allowed use in that area. So it's a fine line. We'll take it nice and slowly.
Well, turning to another part of your district, in Roslindale, a lot of people were pretty disappointed to find out about the arson of the playground next to the Charles Sumner School, and I guess what's happened since then has been fairly encouraging. Yeah,
out of bad comes really, really good. And we had an event this morning there. We've raised about $60,000 so far to rebuild a tot lot, and the fire investigation unit caught the 3 individuals who lit the tot lot on fire, which is tragic. But the kids were very enthusiastic today. We had the fire trucks there. They had thank you notes and things like that. Fire Commissioner Joe Finn was there. It was a very positive event. So we're going to continue to raise money. The mayor's in Shanghai now, and we've had a couple conversations before he left about expediting a project there. And as you know, I used to be in the Parks Department, so I know a little bit about tot lots, and we're going to build a bigger and better tot lot for those young kids there. The tot lot itself and back of the Sumner School is such an integral part of their day. The school is a wonderful school, and it's pretty crowded, and they rotate through that a lot. And with I used to have 2 little kids. Now my boys are big, but I remember if they don't burn off a little energy during the day, it can be a long day for those teachers. So it's important for us to focus on that. But the kids were thrilled today, and a lot of people, good people, are stepping up.